Nicole, I feel like we have worked together before. I'm just trying to connect where and when.
Okay. Just now, guys. All right. So, hi, my name is Kamille-Ann Lynch-Griffith. I am the Public Relations Officer of the National Dance Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and we are here to discuss dance after COVID. We do have to apologize for our late start, had some technical difficulties, as you know how it goes, but the point is, here we are.
We're here.
Yes, we are here. So let me just start off by introducing our panelists. Of course, their extensive bios are on our page, so I implore you to please go and check that out. I'm just going to be saying what their names are at this particular point in time because we don't have enough time to go through how lengthy their biographies are. So I'll start off with Dr. Carol Chapelle.
Hello.
Say hi. Then we have Mr. Hamid Rahman. I'm hoping
everyone.
I am
Hamid.
terrible at pronouncing. Thank you. Please
feel
free. Yeah, feel free to correct me. So we have Nicole Applewhite.
Hi.
We have Carol Boissiere.
Hi. Hi, Carol.
We have Mr. Elvis Radgman.
Hi, good day, everybody.
Okay, I pronounced it great. Yes,
you pronounced it right. Yes, you're good.
Yeah. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Dr. Satnaram Balkanransingh.
Hi, folks.
Okay, guys. So the entire premise of this conversation is to kind of, let me make sure that I say everything correctly. It's for us to be able to discuss the way forward for dance going forward across the different genres in a wide-ranging and engaging discussion. I would like to invite persons who are in the social media on Facebook to please add your comments and ask questions, and I will be able to ask the panelists whatever questions that you have. So our first topic that we're going to dive right into is dance and tourism. As you guys know, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts is the ministry that basically is the overseer of culture and performing arts in Trinidad and Tobago at this particular point in time. On the National Dance Association's blog page on our website, last year we asked the question about, how does the marrying of culture and the arts with tourism is going to affect us? How do we raise our standards? How do we conduct the business of dance? And what steps do we want to take forward? So I'm just posing these questions to the panelists. Who's the first one that wants to take a jump at that? Anybody?
Dance and tourism. I can be very brief because while I totally understand and get the importance of dance as part of the tourism drive, as something that represents a people totally in terms of the expression of movement, of bodily movement, I am a little laid back about the effort to entertain tourists. We can organize all these community groups, which we have so many of, get little people, I say little people, non-professionals, but groups that are good, strong, current, with working together well, and offer them some kind of performance platform. That I understand. But in terms of an ongoing and an effort to make dance and tourism come together in a bigger way, not interested.
Well, actually, my view is actually very. It's a little contrary to Dr. Lashapelle's view. Tourism is one of our earners here on the island in Tobago. So a number of things that we do is very tourist driven, and we have seen over time how we can benefit in terms of the fusion of culture and tourism. When people come and go to a destination, they go for several things. They go for the sea, they go for the hotel, they go for the art, they go for the culture, they go for the culinary. So therefore, we have to find ways and means of how we could connect with a synergy in terms of creating these sort of experiences. People choose to travel far and wide. But that's just from a leisure and entertainment perspective. There are
Yes.
many areas that we could focus on. Caribbean studies that has been part of things that universities offer. We could offer programs in terms of just gathering ourselves, organizing ourselves, and really creating some very clear systems and structures that allows people to come here and study our art form. People travel far and wide; they could study our art form.
Education is not tourism.
No, but you can't.
Okay.
It can be fused. It can be.
Oh, well, it can overlap in what
course.
area can't overlap. But
Of
that's
course.
why I'm saying the tourism part, just the entertaining of tourists. That's a
No.
simple. Sorry, Elvis, continue. Yeah.
Can I add to what Elvis is saying? You know, he has a point there in terms of using tourism, as he said, is a big part of Tobago. And here's where we as members in our community can actually use that platform to get our community involved in and preserving our traditional culture in terms of dance. So why not? We have Best Village. So why don't we use that and extend throughout the year, not only one time of the year?
I think we already do, don't we? We have all kinds of programs to go on to the cruise ships and around those areas. My thing is that while I understand that, and I don't want to sound as if I'm minimizing it, I certainly feel that I don't want us to prostitute our art, our culture, our folk to entertain people who say, it's nice, eh? Story done. Clap, clap, and they go on to buy roti. Give me a break.
So, okay, I want to give Carol. Let me just give Carol the opportunity to say something.
To represent the Club Latin aspect of dance, and all over the world, in very many cities, too numerous to mention, you have a salsa congress occurring every single weekend, and sometimes generally more than one on a weekend, all over the world. And they are great tourism dollar earners in these countries. Recently, we went to one in Croatia. The theme of their own is sun, sea, and sand. And of course, along with that is dance. And we have tried the Salsa Fiesta committee. We have been trying to do just that since 2009, where we don't only have instructors where we pay them to come down here and entertain and teach, but we also encourage them to bring down teams who would go about Trinidad. They've gone down the islands. They've gone to Tobago after the function. They've gone to Maracas and had our bacon shark. So we have already sampled that and see that it is possible to some extent. And our hope is that we can continue to do it and have it on a much grander scale. But all over the world, it's a big deal. Salsa Congress.
And we can promote our folk festivals much more. The same, Nicole, the same folk festival. I mean, it doesn't have to be limited to the families of the performers, which is where, to me, we're stuck. I'm not talking to Elvis here because I am absolutely blown over and in what Tobago is doing. It's the first I'd heard of it. Sorry, the audience doesn't know about it yet. Sorry.
Right.
Dr. Balkanransingh, I see your hand is up. You'd like to speak?
Yes. When we talk tourism, you need to deal with tourism from two perspectives. Local tourism, international tourism. Mm-hmm. In other words, creating an environment for our people to go and see what we are doing. Mm-hmm. There are very many festivals in Trinidad, Carnival, where there's dance, Diwali, Ramlila, where there's dance, the Tobago Heritage Festival. That deals a lot with local tourism. But if you can market that properly, then and I am talking about marketing it internationally, then you would get both local tourism and foreign tourists coming not only to look at the dance, but the dance is an integral part of the cultural offering. So you're talking about food, you're talking about festivals, You're talking about dance within that. And I can tell you, 2 years ago, I went to Italy and to Spain just to, as tourists, to see dance, right? But I went for particular dance forms that I wanted to see because it was part of the tourist timing. These things were available. We are not looking at it from that perspective, where you can during your tourist period, you know when your tourist period is in the country. So get some of your festivals and your dance workshops, your dance Queen's Hall productions at that time of the year, and you market it as part of tourism, but you're talking about local tourism and you're talking about international. So you have to market that a year in advance. You're not reducing your standard. You're not reducing your quality. You're showing them what Trinidad has to offer. In other words, we are dancing for ourselves, and you are a part of seeing what we are doing, the quality we offer.
That adds on to Marissa Beckford Thompson, who just made a comment on Facebook. She says she thinks it's quite possible to implement dance within tourism. For example, offer a basic dance class showing tourists how to whine, but we need to boost dance in terms of tourism way more. So that's her contribution to the conversation. Anybody else want to talk about other aspects of how we can implement dance and tourism and having that experiential tourism aspect going forward?
So
I see Elvis is putting his hand up.
Yeah. So I think one of the challenges that we've had over time is that we need to evolve. We need to evolve from how we perceive the presentation of dance and even how we view tourism. And we need to have a hybridization sort of approach towards, because when we are catering, we don't have the same kind of tourists anymore. The tourists that came here 10 and 15 and 20 years ago, we are tracking a different kind. When people are looking around the world, they're looking for different experiences. So we have to now be smart. We have to now be innovative. How do we immerse? How do we include and create these sort of experiences that will attract people? And that means that we have to become very innovative. So yes, there's a platform for the folk arts. There's a platform for the ballroom. There are seasons that want to be created, but then we have to also understand that we can no longer just create for a domestic market, because the domestic market, and this is a very contradictory sort of statement I'll be making, they're bored by what we're doing. So how do we make what we're doing even more interesting? I mean, and of course, everything is place and time, but I think it has to be we have to have a different and a more evolved approach to how we take aspects of those things, connect them to various niche, and then be able to create the kind of system to support them and be able to monetize it. Because far too long, what we've been doing, we're just doing this thing as a piecemeal. You know, we have the folk thing here, we have heritage here, we have all of these different things. We need to develop professionals. We need to develop people who can manage and create new things in the art forms, dance included. And I think there needs to be a rewiring of people's mindset in regards to this, because I think what I've heard a number of times is some of the very same narratives I'm hearing here now in terms of, you know, some of these things that we should do and shouldn't do. But we need to break that, and we need to come with something new, because if we want to make it something sustainable here, and we're looking at a domestic market, we have to excite the domestic market as to, you know, why do I want to continue following this? What are we adding to this? And then, of course, even with COVID has forced us to go into a very digital sort of world. There's no excuse anymore why our work can't reach any part of the world. We need to change the mindset.
Hamid, I want to ask you to jump in for a little bit to speak about, you know, the things that you guys are doing, in particular with hip hop and ballroom dance now being added to the Olympics. How do you think that would help us here in Trinidad and Tobago?
May I, before Hamid comes in?
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a platform that is organized by the National Dance Association. I am not seeing anybody in the National Dance Association here who is taking notes, because this we assume that the National Dance Association is going to be the lead organization that is going to direct, help, right, chart a course. Is anybody taking notes to say this is what we have recommended that we can pursue? Go ahead.
Well, I will say on behalf of, since I am on the executive for National Dance Association, this is why this platform was created, for us to be able to figure these things out. This is going to be on Facebook, and from this, notes are going to be taken, action plans need to be meted out, and then of course distributed among the different genres of dance, so that we can come together and start putting these things, actionable points or steps in place. Because I totally agree with you where it comes to, we were doing this talking and there's no action coming about with that. And I also need to also make sure that in order for actions to happen, it means that you hold the association or the executive accountable to making sure that these actions happen, and that when you also, as in the membership or the wider community, have things to do within that to make sure that we uplift dance, that also happens. So it's a hand-in-hand thing. It's not just 9 persons who are on the executive are omnipotent and can create these things just so out of thin air. It also has to be a collaborative effort amongst both groups, the executive as well as the people who they are representing. And you have caused me to jump ahead. We're still talking about dance and tourism, and I want Hamid to kind of come in and make his point.
Well, I think we have a major problem in that dancers are the consumers of dancers, meaning that we don't really, to me, I don't really see a significant fan base. And in order to create a significant fan base, is we need to create the proper platforms. Yes, they have the folk platforms and different genres of dance platforms, but not on a major level or a national level. Something to entice the whole generation of the whole populace of Trinidad and Tobago and beyond. I think this is where we can now target our audiences. We can reach out to our audiences internationally and locally, right? The problem of us being the consumers, dancers being the consumers of dance, we just need to get out of that and create a platform where we can create a proper fan base. You know, I think the only way we can achieve that is by creating a major platform, something that is big enough for us for someone, a little child watching TV and saying, well, hey, I want to be like that. I want to be like that person. I want to become a major dancer. I don't think we have anything like that in place, and therefore, tourism, we can't really reach out, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, so then we veered off of the conversation of dance and tourism, and we're more talking about things that should be happening within the community to help elevate the level, the exposure of dance within Trinidad and Tobago. So I just actually want to just add to some comments that's coming in from Facebook, where Joanna Charles said, where do we begin to change the mindset? Because in speaking about the local tourism, as Dr. Balkanransingh alluded to, how do we change the mindset? And she's saying that it could be through school curriculum and community dance schools. What do you guys think about that?
Well, clearly, over the last how many years, you know, the dance in schools has helped to bring the focus of dance and the possibilities of dance into to be highlighted. So that's an excellent point, Joanna. Clearly, and there are more professionals in schools than before. Before, you dance well and you enjoy teaching and you get a little side job, kind of part-time something. Now it's part of the curriculum. So that's, good point and necessary. I still think, earlier, I have to allude to Elvis brought up the point that we need to organize, we need method, we need policy, and that's where we have to move towards as fast as possible. I could go on and on, but that is the point.
But I think that is what Dr. Balkanransingh is also basically stating, in that he's saying that the National Dance Association should be pinpointing those things. And so just having this platform where we are able to discuss these things basically is a step in the right direction of pulling these things together so that we can create policies going forward.
You may not take any credit until you do something with it.
I know.
I'm not.
The time is now, though. We really have to come together now. because it's
Yes.
been years. We've been talking about this for
This
years.
is not
I
you,
think the
you know,
talking time
this
is gone.
talking.
We need
Yeah,
to
because
act.
I
We
was
need to
going
implement.
to mention that there is a cultural policy that was brought forward underneath in its former capacity Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts. There is a cultural policy. Now, of course, most of the times when you're thinking about that, when these policies are created, cultural stakeholders are not part of the creation process of the policy. They are thought about after the policy is created. You bring the policy forward, and then you're like, well, say if this is good or not, when it should be the other way around. So I think we have to take back that control and power, basically saying, if we want to create a policy, we have to start off by creating a policy, not being after you have already did it. Because these persons, as stakeholders, we know what is happening in the community, and there are things that we want to see going forward. And so we should be at the forefront
And
of
we
creating those
want the
policies.
NDA to represent us.
Right.
Can I making a point of what Elvis said earlier in terms of the mindset? I think on the whole, our mindset still is, I know particularly in the ballroom fair or in our society, we still think that ballroom is this social activity, or I just go and learn to do a little dance here and there. Whereas if we can look at dance as a business, right? It is a business, right? So start thinking out of the box. It's not only a little socialite. You can get a career out of dance. We have so many professionals who make a career out of dance, right? So the mindset from us has to change in order to drive policies as well into the future. So I just wanted to add that as well.
I know Elvis wanted to make a contribution. Go ahead, Elvis.
But I also want to state this. You see, one of the first things in solving a problem is coming with a solution, is recognizing the problem, and let us not talk around the issues. Let's dive straight into it. I like to dive straight into it. We are also partly responsible. So as I said before, I have functioned in government for quite some time. I understand how they go about doing those policies. So it's actually a very incorrect statement to make that, that they will do these policies and not have the stakeholders. Let me tell you what I have seen. Let me tell you what has been my experience. Mm-hmm. Many times people arrive in the party late. So it's only when the thing become a hot topic, people jump in the discussion and it's about, no, you need to consult with me. Let us talk the real thing. So therefore, what we do, we are very sensational. Once it touch some sort of chord, emotion, or otherwise, we all get all hot and sweaty, and then we start to say, well, they didn't talk to me. But if you are really serious about your craft, if you don't mind your business. If you're serious about your craft, you will now be kind of really keeping your tentacles out there as to what is going on nationally, in the communities or what the case may be, and be able to do things. You see, one of the things that we have done so far, as much as I believe there's a responsibility of government in terms of policy and resources to sustain and drive the industry, we have a responsibility. And I think that we sit on our laurels many times and we just simply talk about, what everybody is not doing, but what are you doing? What have I done? And I blame myself as what have I done in the last, year or so to advance the development of dance? What have you done? So therefore, we need to now look within and come to terms with those issues, and then step forward. Because if we're really going to make some sort of significant mark or impression to anybody that is willing to give us $4 or $5 or $6 million to produce the dance in the Afro in Tobago, we have to be serious in terms of all of those issues. We have to look at ourselves. So therefore, this may have happened, but then this is a wake-up call that we need to become woke. We need to become a lot more woke in terms of what's going on in around us and play our active roles.
What I think as well is because there are so many different genres of dance, everybody tends to look at it from their perspective. So the Ballroom Association or the ballroom dancers and teachers will look after their business, as it were, Club Latin, hip hop, Indian dance, folk dance. So really, it's having someone look from above at the big picture to see how dance as a whole can benefit Trinidad and Tobago. And I mean, I don't have a solution, but it's going to be a difficult thing simply because everybody is, as it were, minding their own shop. How do we go forward from there?
And this is why we create platforms like this, so that we will have conversations like this across different genres. Yes, cross genres. Because you are absolutely correct that we are all operating in our own little niche and minding our own business. And back to minding business, as Hamid had basically said, what about conducting business? Part of the things that we have to do is make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. How do we conduct the business of dance in assisting in dance and tourism? Anybody?
Could you repeat that question? Sorry.
I would want to.
How do we conduct the business of dance in assisting dance and tourism? That's what you just said.
Yes.
I would want to return right back to the National Dance Association. Has the National Dance Association come forward with anything to say this is how we're going to do it over all these years? Or has it dropped that baton and now coming to ask how we're going to do it? This is a straight question.
Right.
I would like to get back again. I had started earlier with Salsa Fiesta. We started in 2009, and the international and world-renowned instructors we bring. We don't bring second-class citizens, as it were. We bring the A-listers of Latin dance throughout the earth. We bring people from Italy, from Colombia, Mexico, the United States, the big hubs like New York, Miami, Philadelphia, and so on. And a lot of these people return year after year, the core people from the UK and so on. And they have seen, because we have these events since 2009, we only missed in 2020 and this year because of COVID. They have seen the level of dancing, Club Latin dancing, increased tremendously. So much so that we fielded a team from Trinidad in January 2020, and they did exceptionally well on a world stage. And then Hamid could speak to our representatives here of the world of dance, as can I, because we had a representative. Hamid was there, and a few other trainees were there, and I mean, we were well represented there. So in terms of bringing people down, who operate on a world stage would certainly be of assistance in terms of raising the level of dance. And when you raise the level of dance, then you get people, not just the dancers, who you would get the family members coming to see their children dance and that kind of thing, or your friends coming to see you dance. You will genuinely get people who come to see a show, and a well put together show where the dancing is of an international level.
It's still about who promotes it, though, because the individual can do her best in her sphere, in her area, the studio, the metamorphosis, the Caribbean, folk. I've seen a comment here that I like. These are the comments by people who are writing in. Carnival is a possible model. I was thinking it myself. This is not a new question. Carnival has been commodified and commercialized. Well done, Colleen Bradford. That is the point. This is not new. It's how is it going to get done? Can we get enough support among ourselves? Because this is beyond the individual. To literally bombard the Ministry of Culture and make demands. I keep saying National Dance Association. Yes, because under the umbrella of that national organization, we can do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it alone. It means that we can be part of it, that you need the support of the community and the approval of the community. But we need to go and knock and say, this is what we need to happen. All over the world, there are festivals. All over the world, you could decide to go to some festival and make exchanges with people. Some of us have been doing those things half our lives. This is not new. I am happy to hear that it's happening and that the ballroom Latin are doing well, you know. I'm happy to hear it, but this is not new. This is beyond that. We're talking about national. That is why I'm impressed with Tobago. When can I come? Sorry.
So is here and welcome you all every time, because I mean, one of the things about the Tobago Performing Arts Company, we intend to reach out to to people like yourself, because of course we will need a certain amount of guidance in terms of developing this company to become the sort of sustainable company that will make Tobago proud, and by extension Trinidad and Tobago proud. So there will be invitation extended to all of you all here in different capacities to lend support.
I kind of want to go back to what Dr. Balkanransingh basically said about National Dance Association and what have we been doing over the past 40 years. And I think that that's definitely a good conversation point. That is something that the association probably hadn't thought about as it pertains to what can the association do overarching. But I do know that from our OGM that there are persons who are saying maybe we don't have the funding to do the overarching. Maybe we could start with doing smaller things to kind of push things forward. Because one of the problems that the association definitely has.
But to get a big grant.
No, the grant is not. The grant is not. The grant is. Okay, so Mr. Balkanransingh, could I respond to you?
Yeah.
Right. So part of the grant that is coming into the association is underneath the Act of Parliament. And underneath the Act of Parliament, we must have an office. We must have an office assistant. When that money gets paid out after having it for a year.
You spend all the money just for an office. And you forget about dance.
No.
That's what we're doing. I am being very, very clear here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You have brought us here to talk about dance. The association has to say what it has done, where it is going, how it is going, and can we help you? We should be your advisors, not talk about what about dance now.
I think so just to weigh in, Kamille, I think there's so many different areas that we need to really address. And of course, this discussion you can't really address all those areas. They're very broad, and some will take a bit more of a direct approach in a more focused sort of conversation. And I think we need to create a platform where we could really address those issues, because there are lots of issues. I think, at this point in time, because to dive into that, we could spend all afternoon discussing what has done, what has not been done.
Kamille, this is not to you, huh?
But no, I understand. I'm not taking anything personally. This is about National Dance Association, the organization, and what the association is supposed to be doing. Yes.
Anybody, any organization you go to, like Elvis, I have spent my whole life in the public service, right? And I understand how the public service works, and I understand the private service because I am consulting now. But dance is still uppermost. And when you go to an organization and said, help us, they're going to ask you, how much money do you get per year? What are you doing with the money? How many members in your organization are there? How many are financial and how many are not financial?
Right.
You want to know where the money is going, how it is going to be used.
Right.
And if you can't answer that, for them to feel that yes, we are giving it to the right organization, they're not going to bother with you.
So basically, what you're saying is that you're saying.
Point.
Okay, go ahead. No, so so let me just make sure that I understand what it is you're saying. What you're saying is the association should have the documentation to back up whatever money is coming in, how this money is spent, to give to the ministry, or this is also to give to the membership so that they will be able to see what's happening?
Anywhere you go for assistance, those are the questions that are going to be asked. In other words, over the last 10 years, what did you do? How much training you gave? How much festivals you did? How many people you supported for the festivals to go abroad?
Right.
How much did you help Tobago? How much? Any of the genre, these are the questions the association has to answer. Maybe maybe whoever your chairman is should be here to answer those questions, because
Okay.
we can
So-
talk and talk and talk and nobody is going to pay any attention, because right now we are involved in just blowing hot air.
So, Camille.
Yes.
So I'm very vocal when it comes to dance. For those who don't know me, I feel it, I eat it, I breathe it. So I will share my views. You know, I don't wish to overpower the conversation. We're talking trees and forests, and I want us to be very clear. If I'm in a conversation, I'm going to win any conversation the way I best can. We're talking trees
Yes.
and forests. One of the reasons that I believe why we're here at this point in time, because we all recognize, I think we all recognize that there's a problem. Hamid,
Yes, I agree. There is a
Yes.
problem.
there's
There
an
is a
issue,
problem.
right? And this issue has been going on for quite some time, as Dr. Satnarayan would have indicated. But
Agreed.
it is, for me, this is just my perspective. We need to move past that. This is not about how much money, and Doctor, I'm not diminishing what you said. This is not a conversation for me about whether or not the Dance Association received $20,000 or $30,000.
No,
This is more, let me just finish my point.
Yeah.
This is more a conversation for me where I see the Dance Association seeing that we need to start to sort of coordinate. We need to start to sort of create organize. We need to start to create policies. We need to start to create initiatives to galvanize the community, to make strong representation, whether it be to government or private sector. It doesn't matter. Because once you have a strong base, you have a strong justification, all the other things that supports it, you get money from anywhere. It doesn't have to be Trinidad and Tobago. It can be
That's what I'm saying.
So therefore, I think a lot of the focus, I'm hoping that we will spend a lot of time really focusing on how we rewire what is going on currently to achieve the things that we need to achieve going forward. Because we know all the ills of the past. We all know it. We all have the stories. So let us try to focus now on our time and attention on how we can rewire this and remodel this so we can benefit in the future.
Elvis, I'm not talking about
So are we stepping in a new direction? Because what happens is every dance community or every dancer feel like they now have to represent themselves, right? And they go in that direction as opposed to now dealing with the National Dance Association and getting support from them. So we now feel like we have to take matters in our own hands, which we have been doing.
Yes, we raise our own money when we travel and we go abroad to perform
Correct.
or compete. We don't even worry to approach the government because we know we're not going to get it. So we either look for private sponsors. We get some people who are like-minded, and we do get a level of. But we do our fundraisers and so on. So it would be great.
And that's it. The NDA is supposed to be the medium
that could advocate for us, not just us, but all dance associations who want to go away and represent Trinidad and Tobago. That would be great. And I guess that's what ND is for, that umbrella body to represent us all. Hamid, you're muted, and Camille as well.
Camille,
Oh,
yes.
sorry. Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
just saying that Rishon Pei is basically saying the National Dance Association can begin with capacity building mechanisms, ongoing accessible training in things like managing independent dance shows, products, developing marketing capabilities, etc. Some groups have already been making waves, and National Dance Association mandate is larger than the one of support. So that adds, which is why this is one of the topics that's here. The other topic is using social media platforms to promote dance and Trinidad and Tobago culture. So I just want to see if we could dive into that using social media. I know one of the things that the association is definitely falling on is that we haven't used our platform, our social media platforms, in order to promote different dance groups. And one of the things is that persons aren't willing to share information with us. And I'm hoping that with the push that we had to show appreciation to male dancers, that it shows the dance community that our platform is viable as a place for us to get together, to have a calendar of events, to post up different dance shows when they are happening, feature different dancers, feature dance groups, show profiles, because persons do come to the National Dance Association's page to see what dance groups are existing in Trinidad and Tobago. And I know that part of the problem is that it's like pulling teeth to get information. So how do you think that helps in people using the social media platform to advertise dance and to promote dance in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, I would say the Club Latin community, we use it a lot. We use
Mhm.
Instagram, Facebook. You know, we have website. The dance school Salsa Fiesta certainly has a website. So we recognize the value of using social media platforms to advance our type of dancing. It has been quite successful, I would say.
I have listed a number of things how we can promote and using the media, right? And I'm talking about print, electronic, and social.
Right.
Organize lecture demonstrations on dance and invite the public to attend. 2, organize young dancers workshops and young choreographers workshops. Again, through the social media, invite people to attend. Organize dance concerts for young dancers. Organize annual dance festivals and have them in various parts of the country. Use part of the annual grant provided by government to help fund the lecture demonstrations, workshops, and performances. Use gate receipts from these events to pay the young dancers. Once the dancers know that they would be paid by gate receipts, they would bring out their friends and their family. Because if there's no audience, then they don't get paid. And I can tell you we're doing this because of this is what I'm doing with our company.
Right.
This is how we're doing it. We
Right.
don't get money. We don't go to the ministry for anything, but we are functioning. We are vibrant.
Right.
So you could do this for promotion, right? And then collaborating with the dance community. If the executive of NDA does what is elected to do and do it efficiently, the energy generated within the community would create a new dynamic. New people would want to come and register to be trained. Dance companies will want to offer assistance to do lecture demonstrations. There's a body of people out there who want entertainment and education. Carifesta had full audiences. So we do have an audience for it. What we need to do is work on those, right? And remember, the association has to find new talent on a continuous basis. Prepare for it. Prepare short courses. Approach the ministries of education and culture to run these courses in schools. To teach the best village, and the members of the dance companies themselves grade the existing companies and periodically invite the best to do concerts. Market it well and people would come. Parents are also looking for good quality institutions to send their children in every genre.
Even partner dancing.
Yes, we have it right here. But
so as I just want to interject just now, Mr. Balkanransingh.
Yes,
so that as you rightfully said there is a push for us to have a dance directory where we have the different groups in Trinidad and Tobago literally give us data information so that part of the mandate of the association is to basically have an archive of all the different dance groups that have in Trinidad and Tobago as well as the individual dancers. So when it comes to the mandate of us archiving information and knowing who are the different members within the dance community, there's a start that's happening there. I want to talk about just bringing some of the comments that I'm seeing on Facebook. Okay, I'm not seeing like specific things that is adding to the conversation about using the social media platforms in order to advertise. Hamid, I want to come to you because I know that you have a show on CNC3. How did that come about, and was it from your social media presence that actually pushed for that to happen?
No, actually it came about from just understanding, you know, we saw that it had a space and we needed to fill that space, right? We needed to create that kind of demand for dance. And we have a lot of creatives and dancers doing dance videos. And we I just wanted to put the show on CNC3 in order to create, one, the demand, and two, a space for dancers to be seen. And that's pretty much why I started.
Good.
Yeah.
Every platform you get, you should work it.
For me, I mean, I've heard of National Dance Association. I know you all are there and so on. But to me, you all are kind of invisible because you don't see a lot of thrust and push from the association. I know we have an International Dance Month. We have International Dance Day. So, as and Mr. Balkanransingh kind of alluded to it, you know, on those days, I know individual schools and individual organizations within the partner dancing world we have done things like that on these occasions. We have conducted workshops free of charge to the community. And what we do is the teachers generally offer their services willingly on those days to do it. And the response has been tremendous. So if we could get the National Dance Association behind those things on days when dance is very visible, not just in Trinidad, but worldwide, then we could probably generate a lot more interest in dance, especially among young people who really are the ones take the baton and run with it.
But I would say this is a step in the right direction because we are all here, you know, come together. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to introduce Miss Sonja Dumas, who has just entered the chat. As she said, she would be a little bit late, so she's here, and I just wanted to let the audience know. I have a comment from Rachel Pierre. Beyond the archives, very little writing has been done on dance in the last 10 years. The full community went into an uproar in the face of the last Whitehall documentary. Let's create small documentaries by styles and genre. Can we use the media that way? Start small, collaborate with the film community, and barter across disciplines. I think that's a great point. I think that's we definitely also have to do cross-pollination, not just from within the dance community and the different genres, but also cross-pollination across performing arts and the arts community in general. And that kind of brings me to, since Sonja has arrived, Sonja's Cocoa Dance Festival was able to go virtually last year. So in talking about that whole recording and putting on a virtual dance show, I think that filming is an important part of that, as well as how do you go through making a show be online. So I just wanted Sonja to kind of like speak a little bit on how you were able to transition Cocoa Dance Festival, which is usually a live dance show, to being virtual.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate coming here in this forum and having the chance to chat. What we did, remember, it's a contemporary dance festival, so some of us were already accustomed making dance on film, which is different from making dance for a stage or, you know, a three-dimensional space. And so with that knowledge and with the, you know, clear confrontation of COVID, which then said, well, no, you ain't doing it in Queen's Hall this year. We thought we would try to pivot onto online rather than just not having a festival. And one of the first things we did is we had somebody who was schooled in dance, the making of dance video, not us, but other people. And somebody we had collaborated with, she's now at Texas Tech University doing her PhD. Her name is Ann Wharton. And we reached out to Ann, who had come to Trinidad several times to assist Coco anyway, and had a dance on camera workshop here, and was, you know, people loved it. So we said to her, please, could you have a couple of those sessions online to teach people or to guide people as to what choices they should make in their artistry to convert their dance from a three-dimensional physical space into the world of video, and to still make it creative and still get the point across that the choreographer wanted, because it's a different set of considerations, right? You're dealing in 2 dimensions in film, and you're dealing in 3 dimensions on a stage or in a space, a physical space. So that we had 2 sessions free of charge to have people could come, a Zoom session where people could get the benefit of Ann's expertise. So she gave guidelines and people were able to ask questions and that kind of thing. So that helped. And then because although we are small on one level, we're big in another because we have a lot of international interest. And so the people who were applying from the international side were people who probably did have that kind of experience already in doing dance on film. And if not, they were willing to try. So that we had a nice admixture of people from Trinidad and Tobago and people from the rest of the Caribbean and outside of the Caribbean come in with their dance on film videos. But our sessions were, of course, open to anybody, right? Anybody who wanted to come in. It didn't matter if you had ever done anything in Coco, if you had never done anything, if you had done things 3 times, it didn't matter. You could come in and come into this session and find out about choices. Because all sort of creations are a series of choices. You're gonna do this 3 times to the left. No, you're not. You're gonna do it twice to the right. It's a choice. So how do you make those choices when you are trying to communicate something, a particularly powerful idea, but through that kind of medium? And then the other thing we did, because again, Coco is not at all rich, so that we had to find creative ways to get it online. And we partnered with a radio station. We also remember back in those, I say it's as if it was so long ago, back in those days, back in 2020, when, we were now figuring out the COVID thing. YouTube and other platforms like that decided to clamp down on the use of music. And of course, dancers use music quite significantly for their work. So we had to consider, how do we avoid being pursued by the copyright people on YouTube and still get people the facility of using the music that they want? So what we did, and still be legitimate in that we can still pay the fee, or we can be under some kind of blanket arrangement where the fee is paid. So what we decided to do is we went to a radio station, WAC, and who had been doing streaming for years. They were, all hands at it. So that that is where we were able to sort of satisfy everybody. We were able to get the dancers the platform that they needed to use their music, and we were able, under WAC's blanket arrangement with copyright, be legal. So that was another consideration for us. And now there are other options. You can stream it through. I mean, there were options then too. You can stream it through your website. And I don't think the copyright police are going to go straight to your website. But then if we did it through that, we wouldn't be able to use the kind of telethon format that WAC was offering. WAC was offering a format whereby we could ask people for donations. So the show was free, but you could donate throughout the show. But you had to remind people to donate so that we have a live thing going, somebody commenting throughout the piece. So that's why we went with WAC. So that's basically the kinds of pivots that we had to do. We face other challenges. Now we're going to go online again this year. And so you'll look out for the application form. It's coming soon. And the fact is that, again, last year was a different story. Now we have different platforms that have emerged since. We're considering other platforms. People have even come to us now and asked if we want to put our content on their platform, and that wasn't happening last year, for instance. And so you just have to keep your eye in the forefront of things and know that things are going to change on a dime. Maybe next week somebody will come to me with another kind of platform that I have to consider. I don't know. It's a world like that.
Yeah, and we also definitely, I mean, I know when Coco Dance Festival definitely is going to happen, it won't be this executive that will be here, but still send your information to National Dance Association, and I'm hoping that whomever is the next PRO or whomever is on the next executive, they will post up and be able to use some of the things that came out of this conversation and implement them so that it's more action-based and not just us talking. Anybody else has anything to add as it pertains to that topic?
Yes, I would like to say something.
Yes.
So there are two things. So on the last point that Miss Sonja made. Hi Sonja, how are you doing?
Fine, Elvis.
Continuity is something that is very important, and if you don't have continuity, that's why things are lost in translation. So that's something that the association needs to look at: continuity, and the continuity cannot be geared around the executive. It has to be done around the administrative staff, so that those are things that we need to be lobbying about. So that's one. Two, in regards to social media and dance and how that is used. So having access to technology and not even understanding how to utilize that technology is equally as bad. So Sonja made the point about that. So the average person may not be able to have the sort of budget or capital to engage a film company to capture this. Most people are doing things from their phones. Mm-hmm. But I think it's very important that we look at, and these for me are considered low-lying fruits. How do we make or fraternity, how do we make them more informed, more educated about the use of technology? Because simply posting something on social media, if you don't do it the right time, the content the right kind of way, is not presented as a certain kind of way, it's of no value. So I think we all need that's one of the initiatives, because using social media and using it incorrectly is just as bad. So I think these are some of the things that we should be focusing on. So realize my headspace is not just simply talking about that social media exists and they pick up a phone and click capture. It's about how do you help these individuals to better understand what they're doing, so there's efficiency, proficiency, and profitability. And everything that I speak about, it comes back to money, because I manage a business. And if I do weddings, if I simply just randomly put up pictures about weddings and don't have proper content and not, have target markets in a particular kind of way, it's useless. So I think it's something that we really need to look at, because we have actually stepped into a virtual world, and we will be here from now going forward. Whether or not we go back into the theaters, we go back into the training spaces, this is an element that is here to stay. So then I think this is an opportunity for to use this time to make our people very proficient, make our people have them understand the true value of what this technology is. And I think these are, as I said before, low-lying fruits. And it doesn't take much. We don't need to have a subvention from the government to do so. We go on Zoom, same here, and we have an open workshop. Get somebody, we beg somebody, come and teach you something how to manage Facebook, come and teach you. I have done this with many other organizations that over COVID. So it's here. I think this conversation helps us to understand what needs to happen, and we find ways and means to bring it together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, because obviously this is streaming onto our Facebook Live. So this is why you're seeing a lot of comments coming in from different persons within the community as well. I think somebody was going to say something before I spoke.
Yeah, I was just going to respond to Elvis saying that, that was in the spirit of what we did with the workshops prior to Coco with Anne, so that the people who are interested in creating work on screen would be more proficient at it. Now, let me speak to that point about social media. Social media, or any type of media, traditional media or whatever, doesn't start there. It starts with your plan and your objective. So that it doesn't matter what medium you use. You can use all inefficiently if you don't have a plan.
Right.
Okay. So that the first thing you have to know is what are your objectives? What do you want to get out of this? And it can't be too, I am of the opinion, eat little and live long, right? So you don't have such huge objectives that will take, years to complete or whatever. What are you trying to do? You're trying to have a show in next year, March, for Carnival, whatever. How do you work from now towards that? Okay. What is the show about? Who is the show targeting? You can say everybody, but it's not really everybody. So you have to really zoom in on what you want. And then your social media will become more efficient. Okay? So that there needs to be, even before I talk about the medium, because the technology is not the important thing. It's what's in your brain and what's in your vision. So that is it. Those are the types of conversations or workshops that I think should start. And then you can talk about the social media.
No, well, actually, just the way. So just to weigh in on what Sonja said, and I am happy that we're having this sort of discourse. While the grass growing the horse dying, we're talking to different levels of people within Trinidad and Tobago. They are amateurs, they are semi-professionals, they are professionals. So therefore, and it's how we approach it. Because while we are developing people with the very same points that Sonja just made, there's another target group of people who are far advanced to that. I don't need that sort of training. I need a different kind of training. So therefore, it's speaking to those targets, and I think that is somewhat the kind of approach, and that's why I said before, Sonja, before you came in, about the hybridization approach that we need to take, because people are moving fast. I have seen some young dancers in Tobago come up with some sort of ideas. I'm like, wow, how did they come up with this? And they are finding ways, but they just don't understand the technology well enough. And they need work, they need support, they need help. But you see, in order to continue fueling that creativity and those excitement and passion that they have, if it's that we could help them to harness their energies and focus their energies and do things in a more proficient way, it adds further value to the art form, and it excites them even more to do greater things.
And I'd just like to add that this technology also becomes an opportunity to design something new. Yes. Because the way you treat it, right, Sonja, the way you treat the product, the way you treat what you want to project and produce is going to be new using this medium. And I'm very excited about it, you know. COVID is COVID, but guess what? We are creative people. Let's create.
Correct. I think the content is more important. Huh? So, like, if we post content and it's not that good initially, we will learn over time. So the most important thing is that we should not stop the process, because we have, like in my camp, we have a lot of dancers who developed over time to become videographers and editors. But we started with a 2x4 video, and eventually next 6 months we doing full production, full editing. So we shouldn't stop. I think the process is learning it in itself.
I think that's a really good point to me, because at this particular point in time, I think one of the things that the association definitely needs to do is come into the 21st century and recognize that some of the things that would have existed contextually to help the association at a particular point in time is definitely what's necessary needed now, that we kind of need to restructure what's already there and improve it and get it to that next level, as Dr. Balkanransingh has been saying. And so it definitely means that, as Sonja is saying, that maybe we need to have an information session on how to curate a social media page to promote your organization, your dance organization, or if you are going up as an individual dancer, or if you have a dance school, because each of those are different targets. So I agree with you 100% as it pertains to that.
I would love to support what Sonja is saying.
Okay.
Like what Hamid and Carol have indicated. I can tell you, it was a real trying experience for me, because I didn't know the social media so well. And now through my students, they have helped, right? And we brought in a new chairman who knows the social media platform excellent. He has created a brand new website that people are excited about. Our chairman, we didn't know it, we got it, right? Plus, I am now teaching 8 to 10 hours per week on social media platform, Zoom. And it's my students who are creating all of this, and they say, go ahead, use this, do the other. But it's a new thing. It's happening, and we need to use it more and more. And we need to get proficient at what we're doing. Yes, I agree, Sonja. You raise a very good issue here. Maybe, Kamille, before you all go out, have another session like this. Only to talk about how dancers can tap into social media, and as Hamid said, make sure your content is high quality.
Yeah,
Because
I think
because
too, as Hamid has said, is also that we have to allow ourselves the opportunity to make mistakes and grow from those mistakes, because that's part of the human process, and that's how we grow. I mean, I know one of the things, and the reason why I'm saying that is because people expect things to look the way how somebody else who has been doing it for a number of years, who have been able to tap into the expertise of that. So we have to allow ourselves to make mistakes and then grow from it and move on from there. I want to switch conversation. I'm seeing that Gregor Bride is saying Trinidad and Tobago really needs a critiquing board for dance and the arts, where groups will get the opportunity to know their strengths and weaknesses through an informed and knowledgeable source. What are your thoughts on that?
you need, the association has a significant amount of talent and experience.
Mm-hmm.
Pull people together in the various genres, right? I mean, all the genres, and let them be a part of a critiquing committee, so that when people have a production, you invite them and they come, and they don't critique it after the show, but they do it on the night of the dress rehearsal or something, or earlier on, so that they can point out simple issues that can be resolved, that can be improved upon. And it's going to improve significantly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Standards definitely need to be something that we foster, and so that we keep on growing from strength to strength. As I said, that is the whole entire point, is that we don't want to just get stagnant and kind of regress. We want to continue to push forward.
Not only that, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Every association of worth around the world, Imperial Society, Royal Academy, this is what they do.
Right.
I'm not saying the NDA can do it or can cope with it or has enough money, but when are we going to get there? Oh, you see my gray hairs?
I have two suggestions. One is that there's this whole issue. I think it speaks to what Sat was saying. There's a type of mentorship, even if it's informal, that is necessary. For instance, people have asked me, but not people in Trinidad and Tobago. They have asked me to be their dramaturg for their piece. Okay, which means I don't make the piece, but I sit and I look at the piece and I give them feedback. Okay, so that I know there's not a very great, but it's a kind of informal kind of something that happens sometimes. But this was an official request from this person who's a performer in New York to have me be the dramaturg to give them feedback before. Now, we have tried to sort of do that in Coco when people apply and we feel that there's a kind of there's a piece that could do with some work before it's really, before it kusume then, right? Mm-hmm. We offer assistance. We say, well, look, we provisionally accept it, but you have to look at these things, right? But that's not the same as being a dramaturg, because you have to, in that dramaturgy kind of scenario, you have to actually sit there and look at the piece. Mm-hmm. Now, that's one thing that maybe we could offer, especially the senior dance people who have a little more experience than the more junior ones. We can say, well, we can offer this. Now, it's not likely that people are going to be able to pay for this service, but at least we have to start somewhere. And then speaking. So yes, it's basically a mentorship, but then dramaturgy is a little more than that. It's more formal than that. Yes. Okay. And then the other thing is that speaking to Gregor's point, I remember years ago, I had hosted a workshop for journalists to come and learn how to look at dance. All right. I hosted it for both journalists and dance people who wanted to learn about that practice as well. Only the dance people showed up, because the journalists were busy. First of all, they didn't see it as something they would really be interested in, and it wasn't something that was leading for them to go to a show, for them to write an article, for them to get paid. There was no monetary value for them. But the fact is, other people would pay to come to that kind of workshop. It was for free. Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to try and figure out how we can reach the critiquing segment of journalism and invite them to shows to see, or to better yet, to rehearsals to see, okay? Because it's a way of seeing that will allow them to actually write intelligently on the topic. All right.
I also think that people need to be able to take constructive criticism, which is one of the things that is being said in the chat. And I think that's true. I know that as Trinidadians, we get very defensive. And I think sometimes it might be based on tone. You might receive it the way how the person intended. But we also have to recognize that sometimes we are not always correct. And we have to be able to take critique and take yourself out of it and recognize it's not a personal attack on you. That it's about, this is the work that is being done, and this is the way that it needs to be improved. And I think
well,
that's
you're teaching, young lady.
I just think that that's something that we need to keep at the forefront of our minds, because we have a tendency
the value of the critic.
Yes, value the criticism and not be offended or defensive about it.
Somebody
was going to say something.
Be writing on things like these, topics like these. Yes.
Anybody else want to add anything?
Kamille, what about something like doing a blog if you're in the virtual arena?
Yeah, the NDA has a blog.
Oh, you do? Okay.
We do. We do. And we have asked persons. I mean, I am in the dance space, there are multifaceted or interdisciplinary persons. There are those of us who also write. There are those of us who film. I mean, Sonja's right there. She's one of them. So, I mean, it has been put out there to add your voice to the blog instead of, just having one person on the PRO write on a regular basis. I think that it's important that you have that space where you can start talking about dance, start writing about it, so that people can read different ideas, different views. And it's also a place where we could share and collaborate different things. Yeah. Nicole, I find I haven't heard you for the afternoon. You were really talkative behind the scenes before we went live, and I find you like mute right now. So I need to bring you back into the conversation. You have anything to add as it pertains to social media and different, like I would like for the ballroom and salsa community, Latin community, to send some videos to National Dance Association so we could post up. Especially since right now there's a lot of eyes on our social media, so that they can see, hey, there are different genres of dance.
Right. What I can say about the social media, I think has been covered. Sonja spoke to it. What I find is lacking in terms of what we don't do is have a proper marketing strategy. So it ties into what Elvis and Sonja is saying. We have social media, but we're not using it in the correct way. It's just all over the place, right? Because you have it's really cost effective. It's instant feedback compared to traditional media. So there are a lot of advantages of using social media, but it's how we use it in the way that we want to send our message across to not even local, internationally, because that's the beauty of social media. It's global. So you can get new markets, new people, right? And this is how we actually get back into the topic of promoting our local culture and dance and tourism. But more so in terms of using social media, I have found, we talk about, and Dr. Chapelle was talking about with COVID, and so it has actually worked out to some extent in terms of what we do for ballroom. So for example, we have our teachers' exams and our medal tests. And every year, traditionally, we have had to bring in an examiner. So we have to pay for the airfare, post them, we have to see about them, transport, etc. With COVID, now everything is via Zoom. So that cost is actually cut in literally half. So all you have to do now is just pay for your time online. You create your space and you have your camera, you set it up, and it works beautifully. So, this is what we plan to continue after. So, it cuts down the need to some extent for having all of this in future, bringing in an examiner that costs, and then we could encourage more people to get certified, because that's another thing that we're trying to promote. We have a lot of schools out there teaching people, and that is good, but what is lacking is the professional certification to train people correctly. All right. And this is what we want to encourage, a body of certified people who can go out there and teach properly, so we have continuity, as Elvis is saying. So we are doing things professionally and encouraging a body of professionally trained people. I'm not saying everybody has to do it, because we will always have people who say that, no, I'm not interested in that. I just want to go and dance, or to go to my wedding, or whatever it is. But you still have to have a body of professionally trained people, so our standard is raised and it continues. Right?
I have a question from Gregor Breedy as it pertains to, is ballroom recognized as dance or dance sport? Just so that persons would be aware of the distinction there.
It is both. And we have had this argument in terms of, is it an art or is it a sport? It is both, right? And this is why we now have breakdance in the Olympics, because we have done many studies in terms of why dance is considered a sport. And when you put dancers to train with athletes, normally we outrun them, we outlast them, because the level of training that goes into us in perfecting our arts, it is a sport. We have uniforms in just that our costumes are pretty, so we have our rhinestone and this, it's still a uniform. All right. So there are so many things that is consistent with sport, but yet still it is an art form, because you have the creativity and you have the everything. So it's both. It's art and it is sport. And this can only augur well for us in terms of later on, because we start with breakdance, but who knows, later on they want to include Latin, and then eventually we may have the ballroom, right? Because right now in Blackpool, it is actually, now we have the different styles then. So for people who are not familiar in terms of the ballroom, you have two styles. You have your international and you have your American style. Traditionally, it has been all international, but now the American style has become really popular. So what Blackpool has done, which is traditionally international, we have had American style being showcased. So eventually that will be part of the competition, right? So, there's progress, and, we see it's growing, right? So that's it from the ballroom.
Okay, so I want to talk about dance inclusion in the entertainment industry. So let me preface this by basically talking about, in the recent White Oak dance documentary, in the beginning they talked about how dance is literally an afterthought in the entertainment industry. So you have a dance production and a major dance production that's about to happen, but you call for dancers 2 weeks before. And it's not that what it is you want happening with the dance is something that's simple to execute. It's extremely intricate. 2 weeks is not enough time in order for that to happen. So we need to start recognizing that if you want something to be produced of quality, you have to give dancers enough time to prep for that. And it cannot be something that's an afterthought. What are your thoughts on this? Anybody could jump out and say something.
Well, it's like anything else in terms of a job in the world. What are you prepared to accept? What are your standards in terms of your work and how you're employed and the kind of pay you will receive? It's very difficult we watched the video. I watched the video. Sorry, speak for myself. I watched the video. I have lots of things that I want to talk about outside of that, because I think we're preaching to the converted. We all know that we want to be treated as professionals. We want to be, are we professionals? Who's going for the job? If you're a professional, you know what you will tolerate, how much you're willing to accept as payment, the kind of notice you need. This is not something that we need to even discuss in my book. It's a given. It's a given. In terms of the video, I would rather talk about content.
Well, let me just speak to the whole issue of, is 2 weeks enough or not? I joke sometimes among my dance friends, and I say, I want people to look at me as their plumber. And what I mean by that is that if you have an urgent job, the plumber tells you you're going to have to pay double, right? Because it's urgent.
Right.
Right? So that if you want a rush job for some kind of show, then you're just going to have to pay double. Right?
And that is if it's possible, isn't it, Sonja?
But, yeah,
9 times out of 10, they'll go to somebody else.
Well, fine.
No, okay. I'm not disagreeing with you, but that's what will happen. You overcharge, but what are your standards?
Yeah, but the fact, as again, it's speaking to what you're saying, Carol, it's what you're prepared to take, right?
Yes.
So that the fact is that is one way of doing it, because yes, and there have been opportunities that have passed me by because I said, well, okay, not even double. So am I getting paid? And like, paid? Right? And so I said, well, I'll pass on this one or they tell me they'll pass on me. One of us will pass on each other because it's like, I don't necessarily have to be paid for every job. I do a lot for free because people do a lot for me for free. But at least I have tried to have to respect people's time by telling them, look, you will not be paid for this, or you will be paid in lunch and thanks, or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a professionalism, that is where the professionalism to me starts. It's like, tell me upfront what the deal is, all right? Let me make a decision for myself, and then we can move from there. I will decide whether I will do it for free, for not, for this, for whatever, right? And so that's one thing. But the fact is that 2 weeks is not really enough time. But people, I mean, as a young dancer, I'm excited. I want to be on the stage. And I don't want to squash the energy and the drive of young dancers who just want that experience. So you also have to weigh experience with the task at hand and how long you've been given to do it. But in terms of a professional environment, the least people should try to do is to tell you upfront what the deal is.
Well, yeah, but they may not.
I think that is a matter of
respect. They may not. You have to demand. They may not, because they could move on. They could go to a different group. No, I hear your point, but I'm saying you cannot go to a doctor's office and try that foolishness. This is a 50-year-old argument for me. It wouldn't happen. If you ask me, let us talk and we start there, because you must respect it. I'm not just, if you choose, as you said, Sonja, if you choose to do it for free or for less, that's a personal thing. But we're talking about treating dance and dancers as professionals. And
well, we're not saying different things, Carol. We're not saying different things. So I'm just saying that you have to have a discussion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's all about how they perceive
because we've had some of this kind of talk before you came on,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just have to bring in that Arlette Liz Williams basically said, well, what about a rate card?
That tends not to work in a small society because too many people are willing to break it. That speaks to a larger kind of unionized kind of environment.
I was thinking.
And that does not work in small societies, I have found. It sounds like a good idea on paper, but in small societies where everybody's scrambling to get the next soca job or whatever, that tends not to work.
Right.
Well, I would just say that, there are places, again, it's like the Imperial Society, these larger countries, first world countries, have this down pat. Equity and the unions. You deal with those rules. You and I don't have to fight individually. We join one of those and they deal with those for us. Right. Yeah.
Hamid, you were trying to say something?
Sorry, I was saying that it all boils down to the respect for dance and how they perceive us. Because most cases, a lot of promoters or even artists will want a dancer to come and do something today for tomorrow. Right? Knowing that more than likely you will say yes because you want the opportunity to go on that stage. Right? And for me, I think that is a lack of respect. And that it goes back to now creating the demand for yourself. I think the demand is what is the foundation of everything. If we create a major demand for dance, they will have no choice but to respect us, and those things will happen.
There's another possibility that what could sorry, I'm jumping in. Sorry, somebody wanted to say something.
That's okay, Sonja, go ahead.
Okay. What I was suggesting is that, and this has worked for me in the past, although I haven't done it very often, but every time I've done it, it's really been successful, which is if you could possibly get the corporate decision makers or the promoters or something into a dance class themselves, and they see how hard it is to get one sort of measure or two measures of 8 together and everybody together doing the same thing, then they understand because they've walked a mile in your shoes, right? And of course, you're not going to give them complicated combinations or whatever. Simple combinations where they have to do it over and over and over again. And then they say, oh, okay, I understand now.
Yeah, because you're not only paying for the performance, you're paying for all the rehearsal time. You're paying for the costuming. You're paying for somebody to cut the music appropriately. It's a lot of factors that go into the fee. But all they see is a 3-minute performance, and they say, how could you be charging X amount of dollars for a 3-minute performance? But that's not all that goes into it. And to your point, Hamid, is that I think all over the world of the arts, what they call it triple threat, dance is always, I found, the least paid, the least recognized. People who sing get paid more, people who act get paid more. But somehow dancers are viewed very, very differently, I have found.
That sounds like a union problem. That happens on other jobs until the union stepped in and standardized things. I'm telling you, it's the organization and
Elvis, I see you want to add something.
So so first of all, you need to respect yourself. That's one. 2, professional development of artists. So what we have done, and not just for dance, drama, all a lot of areas in the arts, we develop these individuals, and they learn to dance. They could do a lot of different things. They're very skillful. But that's all we develop with them mostly. Let's be real. What we do, we teach them how to do ballet and folk and this and that, but we don't take the time to help them develop that professional aspect. So I'm into business. That's what I'm into. So in the business world today, a company wants to know that when I align with Hamid is going to check off A, B, and C. If it's that when they approach Hamid, and I use Hamid, my apologies, Hamid, they approach Hamid, and Hamid is just happy-go-lucky, just gung-ho to be on a stage. But if just by approaching Hamid, because from the first interaction they've had with Hamid, in terms of how Hamid would administrate, even set up certain kind of discussions, it sets the bar for where the conversation needs to happen. So any serious-minded company, or any serious-minded organization, and this is where most of our organizations are moving towards, in terms of really aligning with like-minded individuals, whether it be groups or companies who could add value to something that they want to sell or something that they want to make money from. So we have to change. We have to change that. We step into the game. That's why, as Carol said, we step into the game as soon as they come and say, let's go and dance and so come on our stage, and everybody go gung-ho. But if we start to respect ourselves and respect our craft, and we start approaching our craft in a sort of very business, we have not approached our craft for the most part in a very business manner. We haven't. For the most part, so therefore, all people or the people who will pay us to do things, they have been socialized in that mindset. Just call them, they're gonna come. We have to change that. We have not changed that. So my experience with this is somewhat very different, because fortunate for us in Tobago, we have a very small market. If you call me or you call the people that I'm affiliated with and you say, Elvis, we want to do something, and you said, listen, we want to do this. I say, well, sorry, this is $4,000. And it doesn't mean that we can't negotiate. But so therefore, we have to change that. People have to value, you have to value what you have. And if you value what you have, you package what you have, you can monetize it. And I've seen it done on small scales. I've seen it done on medium scales, but it speaks to one, as I said before, a rewiring of the mindset of people in the arts, and it speaks to education. It treats the development of people beyond lifting a foot and kicking a hand left, right, and center. It speaks to more than that. And until we start moving the conversation, you know what we have done? We have spent the last, and Mr. Satnarayan and Dr. Chapelle and Chapelle and Sonja could attest to it. We spent a considerable amount of years training people in UTT, in UE, and all these people. All we do is train. And we train, and create no platforms for them to even create or produce. So therefore, we have a whole set of people trained within Trinidad and Tobago teaching dance in schools. Why is the upward mobility? Because there's no structure, there's no policy, there's no system. So we're just moving very fragmented. So therefore, until we start to streamline how all of these things function as one unit, we'll be talking around all of this thing, and it will end up in it. Because you see, right now, when I check the live and I check people who are sending me private messages in regard, this is a very people are excited about what's going on right now. But we have an opportunity, because we could do two things. We could fail miserably at this, or we could let this be the spark that ignites something wonderful for the fraternity. So therefore, I'm really hoping that in the conclusion of all of this thing, we could talk all the stories, we could talk 100 years about all the stories. It's about coming up with some very structured, some very targeted, some very focused response and approach towards how we could kind of really make this better. And it can't happen by just simply talking about what's happened in the past. We understand what those things are, and we build on those things going forward, because people won't start to respect themselves and respect the craft in a particular way until we have helped them. Because many of the individuals that we surround ourselves with are people that need a certain kind of guidance. They have the initiative, they have the passion, they need guidance. That is our job. That's why we are in administration. That's why we are functioning in policy. That's why we have what we have right now, to help to shape that so the next generation will do better at it. We had the same thing with Calypso. Calypso, we talk about all them Calypsonians who would have sung their throat out. And they die and they are getting nothing, and they come in and they're begging the government, they want this, they want that, they want a very few, and all kind of craziness. But soca came in and soca found a different way, and soca was able to monetize it. These things are not roads that have been walked on before. We have had people within Trinidad who has walked those very roads before. So therefore the template is there. We have to just advance it, evolve with it, and make it better. Stop talking and start acting.
Yep.
If I may, within this topic, I think there are 4 key words. Training. So you train, and you train at various levels. You train at the elementary, mid, senior. Then certification. Certification, classification, and registration. So once you register people in the particular categories, and I am referring here to the artist registry. There is an artist registry. If the dance association can work with the artist registry and say, look, these are our people, these are the members of the association, the companies, and we have helped to classify those who are trained at what level. Then those who are certified, examination, and there are many schools that have been examined. We have heard that already spoken about. And then you register them at various levels. The artist registry say an A class, a B class, a C class, depending on your training and experience. When people come, now the artist registry has told me there are people in the private sector and civil society who come to them and ask for trained artists to recommend for various types of work and the quality and the competence that they require. And they say that they don't have enough artists who are registered in the artist registry that they can give names to. So that when you don't go to the artist registry, and this is where the association can really, step in.
Okay.
Work with the artist registry and say, okay, this is what we want to do, right? And then when people come to the artist registry to make these documentary, like Angus Stewart just did, right? They would also, I am aware that people go to private sector companies asking for assistance to run their shows. And they go to artist registry and they said, where do these people and where does this organization fit in?
Okay.
So if we can work with the artist registry and say, look, this is who we are, this is the teachers, this is the level we have got, right? Then they can guide, right, the private sector to determine who they want, who they don't want. And if you take a C-class artist because of training and experience, and you get C-class work, then that's what you paid for.
Right.
So it would answer a bit of your question, and it would tell people who want something at a higher level where to go.
Yeah. I think too.
Sorry.
I'm not saying it is, it could solve everything, but this is a method for helping to resolve the situation. And I mean, even in the dance hall, even in, Latin, fitting in the same way.
I was going to say, speaking to that whole notion of professionalism, because that's another aspect of it for sure, Sap, that whole registration and so forth. But what I think are the precursors to a sound professionalism, what I would call apprenticeship and community. I'd use those two buzzwords, right? Yeah. And apprenticeship means a lot of creative sector employment comes through apprenticeship, meaning a lot of people who are big, like music moguls now, started working for free in some little, record label or whatever because they wanted to learn the business. It's the same thing when you're talking about entertainment-driven dance, right? There's something you're gonna have to sacrifice. There's some sacrifice because you're still learning. You're still learning, figuring out stuff. So that there's an aspect where you're not supposed to, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, you're not supposed to demand a set of money when you don't have the experience yet, because you're being paid in the understanding of how to go about things. I'm not saying you must do it ad nauseum. I'm just saying that there's a time in your career, usually at the very beginning, clearly, that there's some sacrifices to be made. And then in our types of societies, small island societies kind of thing in the Caribbean, right? An archipelago of small island societies. The notion of community is very important, which is why on one level, dance is not considered something that needs to be paid for, because everybody on one level thinks they have access to it. Okay? So what happens is that people are like, well, no, it's just a dance, man. I can shake my hips, I can shake my waist. You can't do that too and give me a dance? Now, yes and no. The fact is there's a time and place for community, and that too is a stepping stone to professionalism. To be true to your community, to help your community, but then to also admit your community to understand that, yes, we are doing this as a fun thing on a Saturday, but then when I am going on a particular stage or have to go on a tour or something, that's a different construct. I won't forget about you and my community, because that's where, my kind of neighbor string berry in a kind of way, right? And the fact is you nurtured me to come up to this and I must give back to you. But there's another time when I need to be paid or I need to have the proper professional parameters in which to work. But again, in my opinion, this whole notion of apprenticeship and community are stepping stones to professionalism as a young dancer progresses.
It would also address those people who are just plain imitators. They go and they look at a film, they look at the TV, and they set themselves up as teachers, right? And then you are asking them to come and do a documentary. They don't know left foot, right foot. They don't have a clue what they're doing because they didn't learn anything in any structured way, right? And But the association can help in this way by bringing people in and say, hey, you can't do this. You ought not to do it. Not you can't. You ought not to do it. Let us help you to get training. Right? And I think the major teachers and the schools can offer free ships. I am distinguishing between scholarship and free ships. Because we give free ships. The Sangam gives free ship. We don't pay you to buy your books and buy your costume and buy your bells. You have to do that yourself. What we are doing is we are ensuring that you don't pay a fee to come to class. Right? And I also have students now who are in third year and fourth year to give back the first year. So they are now monitor teachers in first year, and a fourth year student is now a monitor teacher in second year. And they ask me, so why do we have to do this? Because you don't know what you know or how much you know unless you start to teach. Right? Only then you realize, oh gosh, I didn't really learn this, Now you're learning it. So you need the other schools. Balloon could do the same thing. Latin can do the same thing, right? Some certification, first year, second year, third year, but they go back to teach first year with supervision. And that would help, right? That would help. They would understand what is certification and then what is registration.
One of the comments that is coming in is, as a dance community, are we ready to tackle copyrights, trademarks, and patent? Now, I think that's a very interesting topic that needs a lawyer present to be able to talk what the jargon is as it pertains to that. But I just wanted to basically let Gregor know that I saw his comments, and I think that is definitely something that, should we decide to do a second one of this, that we definitely have a lawyer present to talk about copyrights, trademarks, and patents. Elvis, I just want to know if in Tobago, because I know Tobago kind of seems to be very much ahead, if they've thought about the copyrights, trademarks, and patents in Tobago.
Well, this is all going to fall under the ambits of the Tobago Performing Arts Company, because, as I said, the professional development of the artist is very important, and we are doing a very holistic development of the artists in all the 4 disciplines. So inclusive in terms of our training, it will be inclusive of all those things. And of course, we have individuals like Mr. John Arnold, who has been one of the individuals very strong in copyright. So we've already started having conversations in regards to those areas, and then we're starting to streamline it based on the course programs offered by the company. So as I said, these are all areas that we have considered because we are about serious business where this is concerned. Likewise, Trinidad, you are fortunate for you all. The oil and gas has worked well for you all. We have to now really dive deep into tourism products and services that we can be creative with here on the island, and we have chosen to invest heavily in the arts, and we are going full 100.
So if I put it out to you that, let's say that the association reaches out to you in putting together, as Dr. Balkanransingh had said, helping to structure different workshops, info sessions to talk about these different things that we have discussed as a way for us to have action-based solutions that is coming out of this discussion. And as LaShawn is saying, which we kind of talked about, is that we should have probably a second discussion in this same forum going forward, because there are a lot of other issues within the dance community that we haven't touched on that we definitely needed to start talking about so that we could get to solution-based actions. And that's my whole entire focus, is that we get to that place where we not only just criticizing, but we come up with things to fix the problems that we have. So if I put a call out to you, Elvis, would I get a response?
Of course. Dance has been my life for quite some time. I feel very strongly about it. I'm very happy that I'm in a position at this point in time where I can help further the conversation, not just for dance, but for drama and film and music. So this is what I eat and breathe every day. You realize I have a little outdoor office area. So COVID, I have now transformed my patio area, and I have a outside office area, and I eat, sleep, and dream the arts, because every day for the last couple of months we have been engaged in just building out this company and doing our recruitment and just working on the strategic direction of the company. So I'll be happy to be a part of any conversation. It's not limited to dance. Any kind of conversation that is in the performing arts, in terms of the direction that Tobago is heading, and we certainly want to partner and collaborate with anyone from our society of Trinidad that will help in this in these endeavors.
Somebody was trying to make a comment. No
Yeah.
one was trying to make a comment?
Yeah.
Oh.
My suggestion is that coming out of this, there should be 2 sessions. One chaired by Sonja on how do we deal with filming dance, and as she has done with her experience with Coco, right? That's one. And the other one is copyright and bringing a lawyer who knows the arts, who has had experience with the arts to deal with the copyright and issues of that. Yeah.
I agree, definitely. Anybody else has anything to add to that topic? No? Well, I'm seeing some comments here basically saying that the Intellectual Property Office is very, very helpful and that we could approach them as it pertains to talking about copyrights, patents, and trademarks. Let me just go back to our topics at hand. I think we've covered the 5 topics that we wanted to discuss in this session. I think that there were a lot of different, a lot of good things that came out of this. While Kelly Stewart is saying, while it may sound great, you don't know how much you know until you start to teach. And that is a very true statement, because some people can teach and others cannot. But that's a whole other conversation. I really appreciate the fact that you guys took time out of your busy Saturday to participate in this much needed panel discussion. I feel as if this is definitely something that we need to have again, and probably tackle different topics going forward, so that we have more solution-based actions coming out of these things. And I feel like that is where the dance community and then the National Dance Association providing that framework in order to going forward, so that we build from strength to strength. Or I also see that Arlette Liz William is saying Carla Paris is a good entertainment attorney for copyright. Yeah, she has the Business of Carnival show, I believe. So LaShawn also said in wrapping up, to talk about the initiatives that we have right now for National Dance Association, there is something called the Dance Directory, which is where you can fill in your information. It's on our website, which is ndatt.org.wordpress.com. We also have a blog where we want to encourage persons to send in whatever it is you're writing, whatever topics pertaining to dance and how we could move forward in the community. And you can send those articles to nda.tt.org@gmail.com. Is there anything any of you guys would like to say as we're wrapping up?
Look out for Coco. It's coming.
Okay. I just think it's exciting to have this meeting, and I want to thank the NDA for facilitating. I think it's interesting that in this COVID time we are talking about survival and trying to envision the future. About the envision, and we're talking about the future because we don't know what that is. That's the truth. We have no idea. But meanwhile, we're alive and well, and I really appreciate all these comments that have come in. Everybody's so excited. I'm not talking about us, talking about coming from outside, which is great as a response. So well done. We all have our work cut out. I'm always available. Well done, Tobago. Again. I'm so impressed. And maybe one day we could talk about a national dance combination.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Kamille, yes, if it's okay, what I wanted to say is that I would really look forward to the National Dance Association reaching out to the members that are under. So all we hear, and Carol Boissiere made mention of it, all we know is that the NDA is the umbrella under which the other associations form. But really and truly, what role do we play? So maybe NDA can reach out to all the rest of us and see where we fit in and how we can all and this is actually one of the topics that we had. How can NDA create more collaboration among the dance industry? So if we can work together then under the NDA to see where we all fit in, and it ties into what Dr. Balkanransingh was saying in terms of a registry and artist directory, then all of this, we have this pool, so we can put it together so we can move forward. This is a body of everything, all the genres of dance. I think that would really greatly help the dance fraternity.
I think also in terms of my last contribution, what I would want to share is, I think this is a wonderful initiative. I'm very happy that we're having it, and it's something I look forward to in the future. One of the things is know your people. So I speak in very local parlance. I'm a very straight talker. I've always been that way. I will always continue to be that way. We gotta know our people. Know people. You know, when you understand, when you know who you're working with. So you know, I mean, the Facebook is lit up right now in terms of, this is excited. I'm receiving a lot of DM messages because of people have the different views, and I'm very excited about it. But where much is given, much is expected.
Yeah,
that's one. Where much is given, much is expected. And inclusivity. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Because when you understand our people, because when you see one person who is rolling with this crowd and this person rolling with that crowd and rolling with that crowd, that is what has been the demise of many of the organizations and many of the great initiatives that has happened in this country. So therefore, we all have learned from those lessons. We all have come through it in one way or the other. And if we have to be leaders now to take this into the next level, we have to now start to shed ourselves of those sort of stigmas and have inclusivity. We want everybody who would have commented on Facebook to feel that they can have a voice in the direction of this company, in this in this organization. And I think once we take some time, build it out properly, and we kind of really streamline the information and how the information feeds in and add value, we can get something good coming out of this.
Yeah,
I refer to Dan as the great equalizer, and I'm speaking specifically to partner dancing, because it matters not what part of the world you're in. It matters not the color of your skin. It's a small country, developed nation. It is the great equalizer because we speak the same language of dance. So somebody just puts out their hand, you listen to the music, you know what genre of dance you're going to do, so you accept because you can do that dance. And you know, that person could be rich, poor, educated, not. We don't know, and we really don't care because we are in the moment. We enjoy the dance. That's the social aspect. Of course, there are other aspects of dance.
Lovely. I'd like to, by making one more recommendation, that the Dance Association organize a retreat and a strategic planning session.
Ooh.
If you're going to be the leader or the umbrella organization, you need, right, to review your position. That retreat can help you to review. You would need somebody to guide you, right, in terms of a retreat, but a strategic planning session as to where you are going.
Right.
Very important.
Yeah.
I would want to end by addressing my fellow artists. Movements, sound, music, lighting, exciting choreography, color and costume, the magic of the atmosphere created, whether in a film or in an auditorium, fires the imagination. It hasn't ceased to do that, right? And the imagination, particularly of young minds.
Yeah.
I know. I was there. It made me who I am. It did that to me. Right? It never fails to capture the young, the middle age, and the old age. Right? Keep that going. Because people travel the world, Trinidadians travel the world just to get this experience. Right? We have it here, but we have not packaged it, and we have not done it justice of what we have. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
No problem. Hamid, do you want to say something to close out?
Well, I just look forward to the end result of all this.
Right.
I see great things on the horizon, and thank you for at least including the urban dance community in this.
Well, it's cross-genre. Come on, we here.
True. But sometimes we feel like we're never represented.
Well, this is why I
this is a
asked
step in
you
the
to
right
participate.
direction.
Exactly, I asked you to
Thanks
participate.
again.
Yes. So I also have to plug on Twitter Spaces, which is the next using social media, coming back to that. And on Twitter right now, Twitter Spaces is the thing. Bridget Wilson, who is the principal of the Caribbean School of Dancing and head choreographer for Metamorphosis, is having a conversation on men and dance at 6:30 p.m. So I think you guys definitely should, if you have Twitter, and you should get on Twitter, you should be on all the social media platforms. That would be an interesting conversation to participate in. And I just wanted to end with, I know that my interim secretary keeps talking about TikTok, because that's one of the things that came out of us having an OGM at the beginning of April. But in order for you to have a TikTok, you need content. So since we have this platform right now where we have a lot of eyes are looking at us, and I'm putting this out there to the dance community, send us your videos for TikTok. Most of y'all who are on TikTok, it would have your name on it, so you don't have to worry about, I don't know where the association going and doing my content. You know exactly where it's going. It's going on TikTok. It's either going on Facebook, it's going on Instagram, or Twitter. So come on, let's get together. Let's start being a community, and we're working with each other, not against each other, for us to build this community and get from strength to strength. So thank you very much. To Nicole, to Hamid, to Dr. Carol, to Sonia, to Carol, number 2, Dr. Balkanransingh and Elvis. I really appreciate the fact that I put out the call and you were like, yes, I want to participate. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Bye to everybody that's watching us in Facebook land. And we will have another one of this. Bye.
Elvis, let's talk.
Certainly.